So these older karts can be brought back from the dead. The biggest thing I would recommend changing is the fuel system, spark plug, and the battery. So one of the weakest links of the Rotax is obviously the battery. We're going to be changing that. This is the oldest Rotax harness around. Hey guys, today's video is all about bringing the old Rotax out of the shed and getting it ready to hit the track. Hey guys, welcome back to another insane Power Public YouTube video. This week we're going to be showing you how to get the old banger Rotax out of the shed and on the track. So one of the weakest links of the Rotax is obviously the battery. We're going to be changing that. This is the oldest Rotax harness around. We've got a little flicky switch here. That's all working, that's fine. One of the things we've covered in other videos is the fuel line and filter. We're going to be changing all that, and also to pull it out of the tank because the fuel line in here can perish and the pickup can drop off into the bottom of the tank, and that's always a problem when you get to the track. Regular viewers of our channel will know that these dual auto carbies need a service. We've done that a few times and we're going to be doing it again today. We'll be changing this fuel pump's location and also to giving that a fuel pump kit, taking the air box off, cleaning the air filter, probably change the spark plug. We're going to reroute the overflow bottle, check the radiator cap, put some new hose on here, and then pull the power valve off and just double check that for correct operation. Then over on this side of the engine, we'll be checking the pulse line and probably just replacing that, and then checking all the electrical connections, make sure none of those have been broken either. So these older karts can be brought back from the dead. The biggest thing I would recommend changing is the fuel system, spark plug, and the battery. The Rotax engine, when the battery goes low, it gives you all sorts of problems. We're going to change the spark plug out too. But yeah, new battery, new fuel line, new fuel pump, and you should be good to go. So first things first, we're going to remove some parts from the go-kart. Then we're going to go over to the workbench and start to repair those sub-assemblies. And then we're going to come back to the kart and then show you how to reinstall all those back on the kart. And hang around to the end of the video when we kick this guy in the guts and make some noise and smoke here in the factory. The problem with these older style engines is that there wasn't a support for the airbox, so we're going to try to fix that by installing the newer style bracket, and we can mount the fuel pump kit on the bottom of that. So the biggest advantage of adding the bracket, or this little upgrade, is it's going to stop the airbox from getting pulled out of the engine while you're driving on track. So now that we've got the sub-assemblies off the go-kart, we're going to be coming over to the workbench and we're going to repair the fuel tank by removing the fuel pickup and just replacing the fuel line. We've got the carburetor here. We're going to be doing a needle and seat. Now we do have a great video on that. We're going to link that either up here, there, you know, the usuals. Otherwise it'll be down in the comments section. So click on that if you haven't seen that already. Also too, we've got the power valve sub-assembly. We're going to be running you through how to change the piston and the bellows. Now we have done that before. There's a link for that too, would you believe? So you can check that out as well. Once we go back onto the kart, we'll be doing the fuel line and the fuel filter. While we've got the carby, we'll be doing the needle and the seat. Also too, we've got the fuel pump kit. So we'll be chucking a fuel pump kit in it. That's pretty simple to do. Air filter is going to go in the air box to give that a clean out. These things do degrade with time and they can actually fall apart and go right through the whole engine. It makes a bit of a mess, so while you've got your old engine here, pull it apart and replace that. It's a pretty cheap part. Okay, let's get to it. Now we've got the carby all apart. You can see the fuel is a bit stale. You can't smell it, but it stinks. And we've got some of these bit of contamination. You can also see it here in the fuel bowl. If you look closely down in the bottom, we've got some bits of build-up, bits of gunk. So you can just hit them with a screwdriver and a little bit of carburetor cleaner or brake cleaner. You can just spray that down there and it dissolves. And this is what blocks up your carby's jets. So if you can get that stuff out when you get back on the track, you're not going to have any problems. Sometimes the fuel can really dry up in here and leave it messy. For that, I recommend just soaking straight carburetor cleaner in there and then just leaving it, and it will dissolve with a bit of time, and then you can just flush it out. Now, very similar to some of our other videos, we're just going to be removing all the jets, placing them to one side, and then we can get some compressed air in here and blow these little guys out. Because sometimes it can actually, with the old fuel and bits and pieces in the carbies, it can actually make the air circuits and idle circuits really hard to operate, and then your kart won't idle properly, it runs really rough. Yeah, it just sucks, and you want to go to the track and have a bit of fun with your mates, and then your go-kart doesn't run. So do these little things at home and you'll be able to get to the track and dominate. And like our other videos on this subject, we're going to be now removing the needle in the seat. Now that we've got all the old jets removed and the carburetor's clean, we can now reassemble the carburetor with a new needle and seat and the cleaned out jets. Just like our other videos where we've covered how to change the float level, just going to readjust that. Now we've got the new needle in the seat. I know these older carburetors really like the 23.5 millimeters for the most part, so that's where we're going to go back to first. Make sure when you're doing your carby that you put the floats with the tag on top, not like this, like this. Just remember when you're pulling things apart, if you lay them out in the order, and this one's back to front anyway. So what happens is this guy goes down first, this guy goes down second, and this guy goes down third. This one was in backwards. But generally, if you pull them apart and lay them out, you can. It gives you a great indicator of how they go back together. Like I said, this one was a little bit backwards because this one goes down first on here, this one's in the middle, and this one goes on last, and it clamps into this gasket face. And so now we can just reinstall the gaskets in the reverse order. Just remembering that they do have a little location dowel, so you can't really get these backwards, but you can get them in the wrong order, which is what we saw when we pulled the thing apart. But now we can put it back together in the right way, just like so. Chuck that guy on there, yep, beauty, last one. And then this guy, like I said, it's got the little location lugs there. So we just got to get that around the right way. Marry those guys up, hold it together with your thumb. I like to put my screws in and just finger tight them. They are a fine thread and you can strip them real easy, which is really painful. So just get them started with your fingers. Then if you're using a power screwdriver, just nip them up light duty. And then you can just double check the screws by hand and you're good to go. The next step in our road back to the track for the Rotax 125 beater is the power valve assembly. Now I'm going to split it all, replace the gasket, replace the power valve bellows and the piston, and then we'd slam it all back together and chuck it on the cart. Now we've covered power valves in depth, and you're going to love those videos. So if you haven't seen them already, click that link in the description below or up here in the top of the screen, and that's going to give you a great in-depth on how to rebuild these power valves like a boss. So now we can just replace the fuel pickup hose so it doesn't perish on us when we hit the track again. And then we're ready to reinstall all the sub-assemblies back on the car. To get off the old fuel line, you can simply cut the fuel line on the barb with a razor blade really carefully, because it does slip and make all sorts of damage, and then just pull it off with a set of pliers and it's a piece of cake. The beauty of installing this bracket, not only does it hold the airbox, but it also is a great mounting point for the fuel pump. Now with the fuel pump already mounted and all the new fuel lines and pulse lines run, we can reinstall the carburetor, chuck on the airbox, and then we're nearly ready to kick her in the guts. Now we're ready for my favourite part, test fire and revving her up on the stand. We've covered a lot of this Rotax stuff before in some of our other videos, and some of them are in quite in-depth. So today's video we kind of brushed over those as general rules of what you want to change to get your old girl out of the shed and back on the track. If you've liked this video, make sure you smash the like button, turn on those pesky notifications, and subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate it. Also too, we are at Power Republic on Instagram and Facebook, so go and check that out. They've been blowing up lately. Also on TikTok, shout out to all our Patreons and anyone that supports us in any way on all of the social media platforms. We really appreciate it. See you in the next video.